Welcome to Bus Notes. I'm Vinnie Nardiello. I'm a teacher, I'm a comedian, and once again, you're the student that didn't read, that didn't do the study guide, and now school is right around the corner. If you're looking for quick answers, I'm your Huckleberry. It's Bus Notes. Today we're looking at The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. It's a book that was written almost 150 years ago, yet still sells 200,000 new copies a year. Does a book this iconic deserve more than a quick, cheaply produced video filmed in somebody's basement? Yes, it does. It does. But it's too late for that now, because we're going to trick your teacher, much like Tom Sawyer tricking his friends into painting the fence. But you didn't read that book either, did you? Anyway, here's 5 things you'll need to know to convince your teacher that you read Huckleberry Finn. Number 1, people to know. All right, we have our main character, Huckleberry Finn. Even without reading this book, you probably already had some awareness of Huck Finn, all right? He's a culturally significant character. He's usually depicted with, the red hair and the freckles, okay? And he's first introduced to us in The Adventures of Tom Sawyer as this feral boy that nobody is looking after him, nobody's taking care of him. He's that free spirit that Tom Sawyer wants to be, and Tom Sawyer is this stable, educated kid that Huck Finn wants to be. So Huck Finn was taken in by Widow Douglas and Miss Watson, who plan on civilizing him. Now, he doesn't really enjoy being civilized. Thinks it's what he wants. It's because everyone tells him it's what he wants, but he has not found any happiness in being civilized. They own a slave, Jim. All right, Miss Watson has a slave named Jim who fears that he's going to be separated from his family and sent to New Orleans. So Jim decides rather than be separated from his family, he's going to run away to a free state in Ohio. Huck Finn also now needs to run away. Now, he needs to run away for different reasons. His father, Pap Finn, has returned. Pap Finn is pretty much the worst father you're going to find in all of literature. If you can think of a worse one, I'd like to hear about it in the comments. All right, he's drunk, he's violent, and he locks up Huckleberry Finn. So Huck Finn also has to make his escape. Huck and Jim are going to make that escape together on the river. Number 2, the river. So Huck and Jim find themselves on a raft where they're going to get up to Ohio, where Jim can be free. All right? The river represents freedom. Freedom from Jim in the most literal sense of being a slave, and freedom for Huck to go back to the way things used to be, getting away from civilization. And along the way on the river, they encounter con men, burglars, slave traders. All right? The river is dangerous, but it represents an opportunity. The river just kind of takes you along. It's hard to navigate on a river, especially when you're on a raft. But so they have to kind of just go along with the river, right? With freedom and not really knowing where their next path's gonna be, not really knowing where their next stop is gonna be, but just believing that opportunity awaits them as long as they stay here on the river. It also provides an opportunity for Huck and Jim, who would never really have any kind of meaningful interaction, just given the time period, to understand each other, to learn each other. And Huck begins to see Jim as a human being, all right? He was taught that slaves weren't really, humans, and that owning a slave was a, moral thing to do. It was right to do. But now that he's here with Jim and understanding Jim and seeing Jim as a full human being, he's now questioning what society has been telling him, okay? Which is what's going to lead us to number 3. Number 3, morality. Now, Huck, in his eagerness to become civilized, was willing to accept whatever the civilized people were telling him, especially, like we said, about slavery, okay? But now here, he's questioning the morality, not morality of slavery, but morality of all of civilization, that what people are telling him is the right thing to do may not be the right thing to do, okay? So he's looking at the fact that he has Jim here, who is property. Jim is property. And in aiding Jim, he's basically stealing. But at the same time, he doesn't feel like a thief. He doesn't feel like he's doing anything wrong. He feels what he's doing is actually morally right. And sometimes you violate your own personal morality in order to follow the rules. Okay? This is just a really long-winded way of me saying that I want to teach in a bare midriff and nobody will let me. Number 4, vernacular. Vernacular is like a fancy way of saying slang. And this book was written from the perspective of Huck Finn, so it's written the way Huck Finn, an uneducated boy of the time, would speak. And Jim is written the way Jim would speak. it can be confusing for modern readers sometimes to figure out what they're saying, what some of the slang means. However, it serves as a useful tool. It's almost like a time machine to the past there. It's a way of looking at the geography, looking at the ages, looking at the people, looking at their own background. It brings these characters to life. Now, there's a risk in writing it with vernacular, okay? There's a risk of writing in this style because what is considered common slang now, give it 2 weeks, and it's no longer going to be common slang. When I was a kid, people said bye. They said, I'm Audi 5000. So everybody said, I'm Audi 5000. Okay, and within a couple weeks, everybody decided that's a lame way to say goodbye. Now, if an author had put that into his book or movie, I think I've actually seen it in a few movies, it would be, well, I guess like a time capsule, but at the same time, it could make that book or movie feel dated quickly. Now, this doesn't mean that I think Huck Finn is a dated book. It just could be a challenge for readers. But at the same time, I think it's a risk that's well worth it because it actually gives us a better idea about the characters, gives us a better idea about the geography. It brings these characters to life rather than have them all speak like Mark Twain. I'm Audi 5000. Number 5, controversy. It's impossible for me to summarize Huckleberry Finn without also addressing some of the controversy that surrounds it, mainly due to the depiction of Jim and the rampant use of the N-word in describing him by all the characters, by the good characters, the bad characters. It just becomes a normal way to speak about Jim. And it's, fallen out of favor to teach this book mainly for this reason. Now, a lot of people will say, like, oh, this was just like, a PC decision. However, it goes a little deeper than that. For one thing, this is not a new controversy. This book is a controversial book from the very beginning, mainly in the way it challenged authority, mainly in the way it was considered counterculture. It's always been a controversial book and has been banned many times for many years, even without this controversy. In addition, the people who criticize the book, now look, it is an anti-slavery book. I'm not, there's no bones about it. Mark Twain was anti-slavery, and it's an anti-slavery book. However, I think it is fair to look at the character of Jim and see that often his lack of education and his superstitions are played for laughs. Yes, it's an anti-slavery book, but it doesn't mean that the depiction of Jim isn't still stereotypical on some level. Okay, so, people who are against the book, I do think they have a point. That doesn't mean I think that the book should be banned outright. I think it's a valuable book that should still be taught. In fact, I think you should go to your teacher after the class, put your arm up there, put your arm around them and go, good job. You're taking a chance, pal. You're taking a chance. Bonus. Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer as characters are probably more popular than the original books that they were created in, right? We've seen them depicted in musicals, in movies, in cartoons, in theme park attractions, all right? These characters have become part of Americana. The weirdest one probably is there was a movie in the mid-'80s called The Adventures of Mark Twain, where Mark Twain took a Zeppelin. It was a claymation movie. So he gets this claymation Zeppelin and takes Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer through space. And there's this one really weird short story by Mark Twain that they depict in this called The Mysterious Stranger. It used to give me nightmares when I was a kid. I'm going to leave it in the comments. Take a look at The Mysterious Stranger. Well, that's it for Bus Notes. As always, any book that you want us to cover, leave us a comment. Let us know about it. All right, be sure to subscribe, follow us, let people know all about us. Come on, everybody. Let's get that C together. I'm Audi 5000 one more time.